Are you ready to take a bite out of the competition? Are you looking for ideas to make your business better? Welcome to the Core Business Show with Tim Jacquet,
sponsored by Apple Capital Group.
At the core of every successful business, you'll find people making a difference. And with each episode of the Core Business Show, we talk with those people, examine those ideas, and explore the strategies that make them special. Now, the host of the Core Business Show, Tim Jacquet.
Good morning. Welcome to another edition of the Core Business Show. My name is Tim Jacquet, your host. Today, our topic is Bold. We're going to actually talk to Melissa Krivachek. She's a co-author of a book called Bold, Helping You Unleash the Hero Within. So we're going to take your messages. You can go ahead and put your message in the chat room or email us at info@thecorebusinessshow. Or you can send us to Twitter at #TheCoreBusiness. We'll be back in a moment. We're going to take a break, listen to a word from our sponsor, and we'll be back in less than 1 minute. You listen to The Core Business Show. I'm Tim Jacquet, your host.
You're listening to The Core Business Show, sponsored by Apple Capital Group. Apple Capital Group in Jacksonville, Florida, is a commercial lender that specializes in asset-based loans, equipment leasing and financing, invoice financing, commercial real estate loans, and asset-based financing in the U.S. and Canada. Apple Capital Group is a direct lender that lends on their private equity investment portfolio. 90% of most loans are decided within 2 hours, and vendor funding within 24 hours after documents are completed with a one-page application. No slow no's, just a quick decision and a fast yes. To get more information about lending from Apple Capital Group, call 866-611-7457. That's 866-611-7457 to speak with one of our loan specialists. Or visit us right now at applecapitalgroup.com. Welcome back to the Core. Once again, here's Tim Jacquet.
Welcome back to the show. Melissa, thank you for coming on the program today.
Thanks, Tim, for having me.
One of the biggest things our listeners really love to hear personal stories on our authors, on how actually they come up with the idea, actually how did they come up with the writing of the articles and books that they write. So kind of tell us about yourself and how you got started.
Yeah, so I wrote 3 books last year. 2 became international bestsellers. 1 was done in collaboration with Les Brown and 12 other amazing entrepreneurs who have incredible stories. And the book that we're talking about today is Bold, Helping You Unleash the Hero Within. That book came out September 3rd, 2014, and it was a result of a publicist begging me to do a 3rd book in 2014, which was, well, quite ridiculous in my mind, because who does 3 books in 1 year, right? Finally, I was like, fine, Tracy, we'll do the book, but we're going to have other authors because I can't come up with enough content to create another book, and I just simply don't have the time available to do that this year. And so what we did was I found 13 other very successful entrepreneurs who I had a desire to work with, and they decided to contribute to the book, and the book has become an international bestseller and is also up for the 2015 Small Business Book of the Year award.
Congratulations.
So, thank you. This book has also led us on an international speaking tour. But at the end of the day, it's all about average people who have come from backgrounds of, poverty or the wrong kind of circumstances, the circumstances that surround many of us when we're broke or lack a school, knowledge, resources, or relationship, and then they've built these businesses up to, $500,000 in revenue a month, or just they have the freedom and lifestyle that a lot of people desire, but at the end of the day, their motive is to inspire and be an impact for other people and other businesses and those that surround them. And so that's, what being bold is all about. It's taking the circumstances you were given and making them work for you to become successful in whatever aspect of life you desire to see success.
What is that motivation that entrepreneurs have and some others don't? Some have it, but it's locked, and they're really afraid to step out on faith or step out and be their own and to really unleash what they have in them. What is that energy, or what is that item that you advise them to take that leap forward and trust themselves?
Yeah, well, number one, you have to have faith, and number one, you have to work through your fears. So all of us have fears of some kind. I don't care how successful or unsuccessful you are. It's very likely that you have more fears if you're unsuccessful than if you are successful. And the reason for that is simply because you're not taking enough action, implementing the tools, or really getting the results that you desire. But at the core, fear is dependent upon the stories that we tell ourselves. So in order to get through the stories, we must have faith that we have confidence to go after what it is that we desire. If you are familiar with Barbara Corcoran of the Corcoran Group in New York, famous shark on Shark Tank and real estate mogul, you know that every time she goes in and has a fear as a woman in a male-dominated space, she tells her brain basically, shut up. I have the right to be here. I have enough value in the marketplace that I can command the amount of money that I'm commanding, or I can sell this property for this amount, or I have the right to take over this contract. And so we all have to look at what fears we have. Do we have the fear of, working out? Do we have the fear of getting the results? Do we have the fear of success? Because there are people with the fear of success. So when you figure out what the fear is and you figure out what the story it is that you're telling yourself, and then have the faith and start executing and implementing small things every single day, over a period of time, you're going to actually build up momentum and see the results. And they're not only going to be the results that you desire, but they're going to be sustainable, which is the most important thing in building any sort of business or getting any sort of results in your life.
Wow. A really successful person like Barbara, who's done extremely well for herself, why do you think, as being a woman, why you think that she, had to, in one sense, bring her mind to say, hey, I'm equal, with the guys, in which if you're successful regardless. Why does she have to look at it as being a woman?
Well, I think, so in a male-dominated industry like real estate or like coaching in my own industry, there are very few women who are successful. So you always have that in the back of your mind. Like, you are one of the few that have made it. How much longer am I going to make it? Or like, what is it going to take for me to get to the next level? Can I compare myself to these guys? I haven't been in the industry as long and I don't make enough money. Like, the list of crap that we play in our head goes on and on and on. It's like a movie tape. We're constantly playing, like, am I good enough? Am I smart enough? Am I, the right person for this? Can I actually get the job done? Do I actually deserve to get these results? Like, all of that is playing. And it's not even if you're a woman or not. So she doesn't have to play the woman card, but the woman card always gets played because of the dominant, egotistical sort of male personality role that is in her industry. And because it's a standard of males being in the industry and males getting the results and males doing the deals, it comes up. It doesn't have to, but it always does. And it always will.
Okay. Bring it back to the book that you wrote. Kind of tell us how you guys actually came together. I mean, you start with your article and they address another topic. How did you actually brought all these pieces together in regarding this book?
Yeah, so the first thing I did was reach out on social media because I have an extensive following on social media, many of which are incredibly successful. So I hand-selected the individuals that I wanted to work with based upon what I knew about them through social media, Google searches, and working with them prior. So some of them come from different countries. Some of them I've never spoken to over the phone. Some of them are in completely different industries, and all of them are from different locations. The great thing is that because of the extensiveness and the backgrounds that all of us have, each of us came from a different viewpoint. Each of us actually are different ages, and each of us come from, so we have a mixture of black females and black males and white females and white males and, 50-something-year-olds and 20-something-year-olds and 70-something-year-olds. So everybody comes from a different point in their business and a different point in their life. And that's what makes it unique. It's all about how can we serve more people? How can we create a broader audience? How can we impact them in a way that's substantial? And it was through social media that we were able to collaborate, and it was through an editor that we were able to take everybody's story and put it in context that would make sense for the reader.
Okay. So after all these pieces have come together, then the publisher themselves sit there and kind of categorize and kind of make it seamless?
Okay, so I'm actually self-published,
Okay.
which basically means like the editor and I spent hours and hours. We spent
Wow.
over 80 hours going through the content of the book to make sure that it was seamless, it was perfect, and it was going to be applicable and relatable to the reader. And because we spent so much time doing that, we were able to take everybody's story and just release it in a way that compels people to actually take action. But the publisher that I went through was T.L. and Haynes and Associates in Houston, Texas. And Tracy, the owner of that facility, or that publisher, I should say, does a phenomenal job of running bestseller campaigns and figuring out how to do the Kindle edition, as well as running press releases around it and whatnot. Within 16 hours of the release of the book, we were an international bestseller in 4 different categories in multiple countries. So getting the word out there is the most important aspect of writing a book or publishing an article or doing an interview or anything of the sort. It's the fact that you don't only have a message, but you have a message that you want to get to the masses, and that has to be impactful.
Did you have to do any research in actually writing your segment, or you actually just built on the experience that you have?
All of us wrote on the experience that we have and how people can unleash their inner hero, which is why the subtitle of the book is called Helping You Unleash the Hero Within. Because all of us had to do that, going from the circumstances that we were to the success levels that we currently have.
How is it, and I mean, you got some really impressive people on here. How actually, I know you reached out to within social media. For example, is it any of these authors, is one of them or 2 of them, articles actually made a big impact? Say, oh my gosh, this awakening moment, I never thought about this.
Yes, there are some incredibly successful people, including Les Brown, Barbara Pender, Nicole Teves. A lot of them all have their own stories, and all of them have had a tremendous impact. For me personally, though, I definitely think Kendra Path, after stood out the most, but that's because Kendra and I share the Gen Y market. So both of us, are 20-something-year-old and, have come from the college degree or the background of retail to owning a successful business. Hers obviously is in gold and mine obviously is in coaching. But besides that, we share commonalities. Now, each person that reads it is going to be compelled to a different author. So we purposely have combined, people's stories and their successes in a way that everybody has somebody that they can relate to.
What is the takeaway that you guys want to leave the reader with?
Be bold, not reckless. So understand that whatever action that you take, there should be a result, or whatever investment that you make, there should be a return. Being reckless is very different than being bold. Being bold is about having the faith in your ability to see it through. And being reckless is just aimlessly taking action and not knowing if there's going to be a result or a return, or you're even going to have a minute level of success.
Okay, we have a question here. Did you have to hire a publicist in order to market your books?
I did not hire a publicist. I've actually done up to 50 radio, television, and podcast interviews a month. And I do that through a couple sources. SourceBottle.com is a great resource to interact with publicists. So is RadioGuestList.com. So is iReport.cnn.com. All of the ways for you to get publicity are very easy and accessible to anybody. I did not go out and hire a PR team, but I also have a very large following on social media, and I had previously written 2 other books. So that also had something to do with the level of success we've attained.
How do you manage the time in order to pull all these pieces of the radio interviews together, promote the book, and run your own business?
Well, all of it has to come down to the bottom line. What's going to make you money? What's going to create impact? How credible are you going to be in the marketplace? And are you going to position yourself as an expert? Now, time really, it's a matter of what you value. So whatever you value is what you spend your time doing. Personally, I value the impact that I can have on the world. And so for that reason and that reason alone, writing, speaking, and creating content that's applicable is important to me. And just the ability to inspire somebody's life, whether they buy from me or not, is priceless. Not only for me, but for them.
Wow. If they want to actually reach out to you, I know you've mentioned that you're on social media. Can you kind of tell us how they can reach you and also where your book's available at?
Absolutely. So you can check out BriellaArian.com, and that's BriellaArian.com. KRION.com. And you can find social media. You can find a 20-minute video of my story where I personally share with you, the background that I had, as well as the book and tons of other really cool, fun, free things for you there.
Okay, great. I really appreciate you coming on the show. Thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome, Tim. Thanks for having me.
Great. If you, again, your website address is?
BriellaArion.com.
Great. Thank you so much. Everybody, thank you for listening to the Core Business Show. I'm Tim J.K., your host. Thank you, Melissa, for being on the show. Everybody have a great day.
Thank you for listening to the Core Business Show with Tim J.K. For a free quote on equipment leasing and financing, visit our website, applecapitalgroup.com. That's applecapitalgroup.com. And fill out the information to receive your free quote. We hope you'll join us for our next episode. And remember, you can always get to the core via iTunes. You'll find all our previous episodes there. Thanks again for listening to the Core Business Show with Tim J.K.